I sometimes wonder, Carl, whether humanity can survive the internet. It's been such a wonderful 20-year, 30-year run on the internet, and now you see the proliferation of fake news, hate sites, that sort of thing. One problem is, in the old days, you had telephone companies that were common carriers, and anybody could say what they want on the phone, and you had newspapers that were filters, and if you wrote a letter to the editor, they'd decide whether to print it. Now it's kind of hard to say, well, you're publishing fake news, we're not going to let you through our platform on the internet. But I do think that customers are going to value knowing what's true or not, and eventually this will sort out.
But there are a lot of levels of truth, Walter, and I want to use one specific example of an article that was floating around Facebook in just the last 24 hours from a site called Soak It In. It says Trump brings Ford home from Mexico. It says Ford's heavy-duty pickups were being manufactured across the border in Mexico, but this week they are bringing them home. This is great news. It's not exactly untrue. Ford did bring F-650 and F-750 production back to Ohio, but it was as part of a 2011 agreement with the UAW. And I'm just wondering how, if you are Facebook, you decide whether that story is fake or not.
You can't, and that's the problem. This is not one with an easy solution. There are all sorts of shades of truth, and frankly, I don't want anybody, whether it's Facebook or, CNBC, telling me this is the only type of news I can hear. I want to have a wide range of choices. That said, it's useful to have humans in the equation to be able to debunk stories and to say this is not something we're going to feature because it's not really true.
Walter, all shares are kind of treated equally right now on Facebook when it comes to news. I mean, something from a news outlet that's been around for a couple hundred years and has perhaps more established standards is treated the same as some blog that was perhaps just created a month or so ago somewhere else. Is perhaps one answer to have some sort of identification of what sort of a source the information is coming from and what sort of a reputation it has for journalistic accuracy. Of course, that would throw a lot of traditional outlets into perhaps questionable waters, but it might inform the user.
Well, as you said, as you got near the end of the question, it sounds very reasonable until we try to figure out how to do it. I'm going to say something that'll get me abused in the Twitterverse, but I trust the New York Times generally. But there are people who think the New York Times is untrustworthy. It's kind of hard, even with a very established place like that, to say it's trustworthy. That said, one solution is to have the algorithms right so that if other people in online are trusting it, it gets more and more of a reputation. That's what Google has built up over the years, even though it has made some mistakes recently, which is if more and more people point to it, then that sort of indicates it's more trustworthy. On the other hand, in the old days, as you remember, Yahoo, when Yahoo did Yahoo News, actually had real editors and real humans. And as much as we think that machine learning and artificial intelligence and algorithms can sort out the wheat from the chaff, it's actually something that human judgment is better at. And I would think we might want to go back to having some more humans in the loop here, making judgments about whether a story is right. That's what you do on your show. That's what happens in your control room. And, that's why people, when they really want to buy or sell stocks, they're not going to some wacky fake news site. They're going to CNBC.
Right. Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.